And welcome back to another day of fastest map replays casted by me. And today we have ourselves what should be a beautiful match. A match that kicks off a series between Mong and tOKi. tOKi playing on Yangchigisonyun, Mong playing on Mong 2. Mong is on the right middle spot on this map, whereas tOKi is playing the Terran on the left middle spot. Mong 2 playing the red Protoss. He is known for his Terran mastery on the regular maps, but he's proven himself to be a top tier player on pretty much all the races when he's playing fastest map, as most of these pro players are actually really good on every single race they play. It's just their one chosen race, it's just the race they tend to enjoy the most. So yeah, the game starts off with a 9-10 barracks for tOKi, and then he goes off onto the depot, places it down on the low part of his gas, just to, well, some people like to build here, all close and compact. Makes it easier to protect your own buildings when all your buildings are very close to each other, so you don't have to move back and forth all that much. That's just in a scenario where Mong were to go for an offensive build, like a mid build. Then having a compact build is way more advantageous because zealots cannot take down that depot uncontested. Everything close together is way easier to manage, way easier to defend. But he puts it down there on the side, which is actually, if there's no early aggression from the Protoss, it's just perfectly fine to do. There's no risk of putting it down there. And it opens up this entire space here in the middle of your base. Just build without any depots blocking or forcing buildings to be built on one side. Like if you have your depots placed here, as a lot of players do on this map, you would have, well, you wouldn't be able to build in this space. Instead, you place them here on the side, and then you keep this entire area open. That's just a thought I wanted to throw out. So Mong starts off with the 2 gateways and a pile on his choke, and the Nexus. The most standard PvT build that I know of that the Koreans pretty much apply 90% of the time. It is just the best Protoss build. Gonna follow it up with a cybernetics core, forge, some gas. There's the gas, another gas. There's no forge out yet, so he is actually playing quite risky by going for such a late forge. There is the cybernetics core, so still no forge out for Mong. With Mong trying to seek out to deal some damage on tOKi, but the opportunity gets shut down as tOKi already has his marines out in the choke. And he has more marines than Mong can fight with those zealots. Maybe he can fight them with those 4 zealots in total, but he decides to just wait a little bit longer. Instead, tOKi is now going on the offensive. He knows that Mong has a single low HP zealot. He tries to go, but he is unsure about it. He pulls back, goes back in, pulls back, goes back in, and pulls back again, then goes back again. So that's a little bit of throwing out some feints. So right now, these units just dancing back and forth. Neither of the players want to commit to a fight just yet because tOKi is waiting for more units, or he's waiting for stim upgrade, but that's going to take a while because he just started his academy. He's got a second CC on the way. Mong has his forge up. Finally, robotic support, robotic facilities on the way. 2 cannons have been placed down at the choke. He's defending that choke with those zealots. If tOKi had decided to go offensive, he could have actually put a stop to this choke here. But he did not decided against going offensive. Instead, he's going for a defensive build. He's even lifting up a single barracks. He's either going to move that to his choke, or he's going to hover that somewhere over the hill. Not entirely sure. It's a very risky move. Oh, it's just relocating it. Alright. Scared for nothing there. There's the first factory coming out, mining 2 gas. And the zealots are moving out, trying to finally deal some damage to distract tOKi. And he sees the bunkers, decides against it. Citadel of Adun is already thrown down in his base, and a second robotic facility has just been started. Mining from 3 geysers, so his gas income is just really solid and good. Maybe a bit too high in my opinion, because he can do this build on just 2 gas and preserve a little bit of mineral income, or boost his mineral income even. There is the robotic support bay. Shuttle is on the way, and tOKi has his factory almost finished up. It's already making an engineering bay in the case of Dark Templars coming in through the front. You always want to just get a precautionary turret up, just in the case that the Protoss is going for that Dark Templar cheese, because you don't want to die to Dark Templars. It just feels very bad to die to them. They feel kind of gimmicky in a sense. So there's this Terran starport that comes down after the factory. Machine shop is on the way. He's got a scan, but he hasn't scanned just yet. He's now stimming onto the Zealots. The Zealots immediately get pulled back by Mong. Those Zealots losing a little bit of HP very, very slowly as these Marines turn a step into the range time and time again. Just stimming in there. The scan comes down. He scanned the choke, so he knows that there's only 2 cannons there, but he sees that the Zealots meet up with the cannons and he cannot attack into that, because he doesn't have enough units for that specifically. So he decides to pull back to his own choke, where turret is about to finish. Siege mode is on the way. The second scan is being constructed. Now he's going to throw down turrets on the side of his base, because he saw that drop tech, the 2 robotic facilities, finished up, and I think he saw that shuttle coming out as well. Given that he was looking at that specific timing, of course, if he wasn't looking. But he still knows that a shuttle should be out. 2 Reavers are coming out. Zealot legs are only just now started. I think that was a little bit of an oversight from Mong, because usually you want to get that Zealot lag speed up and finished right around now. When the shuttle flies in and you drop the Reavers, you want that Zealot speed finished up, so that you can take down the choke. Shot comes down on the Zealots. Reavers get picked up before they take a hit. And he pulls back, and yeah, that's pretty much just a small mess up from Mong. You want that Zealot speed finished up, so that you can take down these front bunkers with the Reavers just outside of the range of the tank. You place your Reavers about here, tank can fire through about here. You take down these front 2 bunkers, so you take down the wall. Sometimes people have a full wall of bunkers. You take that down, run your Zealots in, focus on the tank, then the Reavers help taking down the tank. Then you can also focus down the bunkers, because the Reaver scarabs do splash damage on the bunkers as well. And then you break that open, wide open, and hopefully you deal enough damage for your second attack like here. He drops the attack. He's just dropping on the side there. A tank is also flying in at the same time. Gonna be looking at both. He takes down 4 depots, and he's really threatening tOKi there. But tOKi here drops a tank, and he killed no probes. All the probes got pulled out of the minerals, and he loses the tank before he can get another shot up on the probes. Meanwhile, the attack here has been fought off, but he took down 3 turrets, a couple of SCVs that are making the turrets down there, and he took down 4 depots and dealt some damage to the surrounding buildings as well. But nothing for tOKi to be afraid of. Now he's gonna start pumping out raids, and the drop was flying in from the north side actually. And this time he gets in range of the SCVs, doesn't get a great storm off. The storms both get dodged. He killed no SCVs in there. He did take down a couple of Marines that were standing under the storms right next to the SCVs. But that's a good save from tOKi. tOKi always very solid with his drop dodging, always sending his SCVs away, always knowing where to send them, where the next storm is going to come, and dodging storms perfectly, pretty much always. But now he's got raids on the way as his measure against drops, so he can just hover those raids somewhere in his base and target fire on the shuttles as they come flying in. Raids are really awesome. You can also go shuttle hunting. This drop comes flying in, reaches the minerals. Units get dropped right on top of the Marines. The storm comes down, another storm comes down, and he takes down about 5 or 6 SCVs with those 2 storms. There's way less than he wanted to kill, but it's better than nothing at all. A couple of Marines also went down, but tOKi manages to come out on top as he loses pretty much... well, he loses the amount of units that he was already prepared to lose to that drop. And now Divas have also been thrown down on the top side there, so he's got his entire space here open to build in. I really like that. Another drop is about to fly in, but he got spotted out by an engineering bay in the north. So tOKi knows it's there. He's already sending out his raids to intercept the shuttles. He focuses down the first shuttle. The Reaver gets dropped out. The second shuttle comes in deeper. It drops Templar, but he decides to storm on top of raids instead of storming on top of the minerals. But that's better than storming on nothing at all. The Reaver takes down a single turret. No depots have gone down. Toki's gonna have to repair these depots if he doesn't want them to burn out in the long run. Or actually, they're just above the threshold where they start losing HP to the burn. So that's convenient for tOKi. Those depots will stay alive. Now, our frontal attack is coming in because Mong knows that most of the units have been pulled away from the front. But there's fire bats in the bunker, so he cannot focus on the bunker. He has to go for units behind the bunkers. And he actually takes down a tank. It takes down a couple of Marines there. That's a really nice, sweet move and good control from Mong. Now he's going for the turrets down here on the north side, because he wants to take them down, make it easier for his shuttles to fly into the base. And he takes down a single turret. There goes the second one, and number 3 also goes down. The fourth one might go down as well. These raids are being really slow at taking down these zealots. The zealots are doing way more damage than they should be doing. And he should be stimming up those Marines up to the north side to help preserve those turrets instead of losing them. So Mong, in the meantime, has built up a lot of... Well, he actually got tank dropped. So that's pretty nice. I missed that one. I almost had it. Missed it by just a couple of seconds. I hope to be able to focus on both at the same time and then move over here and pick it up, but I was a little bit too slow. I'm sorry for that, but he lost about 20 or so probes to the tank drop, so that's a nice pickup from tOKi to be able to deal out some damage while being pressured by Mong. Mong on 10 gateways here and single Stargate and 6 robotics facilities, so we can start pumping out Reavers and shuttles in a very quick rate, and just spam drops non-stop. He's coming in from the southern side now. He flies in, he drops his units on top of the turrets. He's going to clean those out and force tOKi to respond to him. He gets a stormer. The storm hits nothing at all. Storm hits the raids a little bit. Another storm, 4 storms in total, but these raids barely take any damage. A single raid went down to the storms, but he dodges the storms quite nicely, which makes me wonder, should Mong have gone for the minerals there, because he picked up pretty much nothing at all there on the southern side, aside from 3 turrets and a single wraith, which is definitely not worth the trade-off, considering he already lost so many probes to the tank drop just earlier, which means he's been set back a little bit, which gives tOKi room to keep on building and get bigger in relation to where Mong is. So it has become a race against the clock for Mong. Mong has to start dishing out some really good offensive questions that tOKi will have to answer. Whether tOKi answers them correctly or not, it's all up to tOKi. Alright, these units trying to go in through the front, but they don't manage to deal out all that much damage. They don't even get to take down this single depot. Well, that's unfortunate for Mong that he somewhat mismanaged it at the front, but there's just so much going on, and you're trying to attack from so many sides at the same time that you can't always perfectly manage every single attack. He flies in, Reaver gets dropped in the range of the SCVs, but he doesn't get a shot up on the SCVs. He storms on an empty mineral patch, and he does wind up forcing tOKi to pull off his SCV. There's another Reaver in there. The Reaver gets a shot off, and the Reaver gets... the Reaver Scarab doesn't find anything as the Scarab bugs out and deals no damage at all. But meanwhile, while that was happening, 4 turrets have been taken down here on the bottom side, and Armory has gone down as well. He's taken down the Academy and 6 depots as well. tOKi, however, just has enough supply cap to not get supply stuck, but there's a lot of SCVs spread out around the base, idling, not doing anything at all. But he survives another drop and stays in the game a little bit longer. Another drop comes flying in from the north side, but there are so many turrets that these shuttles will not be able to fly in. He's going to have to drop right there on the side, and the first shuttle goes down before he gets to drop anything, and he only gets 2 zealots out. Another recall is now coming in from the south side. He's got Reavers and zealots and 2 Templars all bundled up into a small group, and now he's going to buck them into each other by transforming his... Oh, he failed the clipping. So that's unfortunate. He tried to clip all of his units into each other. It doesn't work out. No, he doesn't get the recall off. That was just the smallest margin imaginable. He got the command off, but the animation is too long and he doesn't get the recall itself off. And another tank drop comes down for tOKi, and this time he takes down 40 probes in total, once again putting Mong back a huge lot and getting himself another advantage over Mong. So tOKi is the person successfully pulling off the drops compared to Mong, who just keeps missing and failing his drops. And not because of his own mistakes, but because tOKi is just handling those drops so very well. He's being so conservative and successful in preserving his own base. He's not being offensive. He's just dealing out very precise punches on Mong. And Mong now has to make something happen with this next drop, or he's going to be in for a world of hurt. He's sending his raids down along the southern side of the map to scout and maybe be able to deal some damage to Mong. If he does decide to go up, he decides to pull them back. A frontal attack is coming. He's focusing on the depots where the fire bats cannot hurt the zealots. Now the zealots coming into the range of the bunkers, and they're going to take a lot of damage to go down very quickly to the bunkers. And here comes an attack from the northern side where he just opened up the hole earlier with those 2 zealots that he dropped. So those 2 zealots do end up being very useful, but there are so many tanks sieged up here in the northern side of tOKi's space that he takes down the zealots and the reavers without much effort at all. He just has to A-move them up, and he does end up losing 5 depots and 5 turrets, but that he's willing to lose that much if it means preserving his income, his SCVs, and staying alive. But as a side result, he is now supply stuck. This engineering bay goes down to a couple of dragoons. Now raids are going to take down the dragoons. Another drop is flying in over the southern side of the map, but it will get spotted out by this barrack here though on the southern side, so tOKi will be able to respond to that in time. Mong spots the barrack, so he pulls away because he doesn't want to lose his drop to tOKi's Valkyries. Valkyries take care of small groups of shuttles really quickly. So now he's hanging them there on the southern side of the map, just waiting, buying himself some time so we can fly in and keep tOKi guessing. But tOKi isn't even worried about that right now. He's just worried about getting these depots up here on the northern side of his base and probably repairing these armories and getting his upgrades rolling. Because I haven't really been focused on the upgrades because so much has been happening, but both players are on pretty good upgrades. 113 for Mong and 11 for tOKi. tOKi will soon be on 2-2 as his upgrades are on the way. As he just ship plating is on the way. Ships are on 1-0, so they're on 1-1 very soon. He's repairing his armories. So none of his armories are really upgrading. He's occupied with something else. Mong has recovered a couple of his probes. He's on 64 probes now. He might need maybe 10 more to really be able to match up with tOKi. tOKi now has thrown all of his upgrades for his tanks and for his vehicles and air units up into the armory, so that is on the way. Mong is almost on 2-3. He's got armor and shields on the way. Hallucination is on the way. Now Valkyries are out, being offensive, looking for those shuttles, but he doesn't find the shuttles because shuttles are coming in from the southern side. Now he sees the shuttles coming in from the southern side because he has the barracks there. So now Mong is redirecting them to another location. He pulls them back to his base and decides once again decides against attacking. Now he's sending them back out to the southern side of the map because he saw those Valkyries out here at the choke by the zealots. And he goes in, but he flies directly into the Valkyries. And he gets a couple of zealots out right on top of the factories, but there's so many units around here. Tanks on the hill, tanks inside the base, that these zealots go down very quickly. And here, tOKi decides to kill a couple of his own SCVs. 20 SCVs in total. He's got 53 SCVs left. He's very rich, and he decides that he needs some space for more tanks instead of having SCVs, because he's already on 7,000 overmine that he cannot spend. Not yet, that is. And here he's dropping tanks on the hills next to Mong's base. Mong has finally managed to recover. The drop comes in the northern side of Mong's base, but Mong actually gives up because he knows that he hasn't been dealing any damage to tOKi at all the entire game. And he knows that once his tanks here are up on the high ground... oh, Jesus. Once his tanks here landed on the high ground, Mong knew that he lost control over his own base, and tOKi would just be able to waltz in all over the middle and go for the kill. Because tOKi has been so big and untouched for 19 minutes in total, he has been completely fine. The drops have been doing no damage whatsoever, and tOKi has just been taking his time and building up his base, rebuilding his base, building up his defenses. and just surviving, all by keeping his income, his SCVs, secured with those very, very crucial drop dodges in the early game, and the mid portion of the game as well. Now he has those tanks on the hill. I don't think Mong had any shuttles. Oh, he had some shuttles out, so he could have dropped units on top of those tanks. But he had Valkyries there as well, and the Valkyries would have been able to take down those shuttles, trying to drop units on the high ground and take down these tanks. So Mong was in a very bad position, and he had not been able to answer. He had not been able to throw out the punches or land them. He threw them out, but he didn't land them in critical spots of tOKi. tOKi managed to stay alive and win game number 1. And if I hadn't said it already, this is a best of 5, I assume. There's a couple of replays in this set, and I assume it's a best of 5. Going into game number 2 right now, and putting an end to game number 1. So thanks for watching, and see you once again in a little bit for game number 2.